So we're at the stove, and the first dish we're going to work on is the potatoes on it. I have my medium burner. I'm going to turn it on about medium heat, and I'm just going to get these started. This is kind of a two-step cooking process. One we're going to do here at the stove, and then we're going to slide it into the oven to finish. All in all, it's about a 45-minute or so cook time. Really depends on oven. We have our oven running at about 375 degrees. So we're just going to let this go until we start seeing some bubbles and some crust kind of form around the outside. We want a nice golden brown texture on this. I'm going to cheat a little bit and add a little bit more butter around the outside. This is a very butter heavy dish. Like I said in the demo, unfortunately I got to lead it, that this is something that you're going to look at the amount of butter and go, oh my God, what am I doing to myself? But really, once it's done, a lot of that butter will cook out. We can see in here it's starting to come up to temp. You know, the things are working. You don't want to shake or mess with it too much. You want to give the starches in the potatoes and whatnot a good chance to kind of come together and bind these layers together, you know. That's the not soaking the potatoes and not doing those kind of things where that comes into play. You know, you want those starches kind of grab into each other. So let that go, let that kind of come up. The smaller pan, this should go a little quickly. Cast iron, things like that will work too. Just want to start getting that nice crust on the bottom, so it's really something that's not going to pick up on its own in the oven. It's probably one of the biggest difference between these and scalloped potatoes. Where scalloped potatoes, they kind of pick up that nice crust on top, and everything underneath is soft. We want the bottom of this to be nice and crispy, and then the rest of it could be soft. So I'm just testing here to make sure it's loose. So when we go to flip it out of the pan, it will just kind of flip out and won't be a sticky mess, hopefully. And if so, we'll just have some rustic potatoes. So we're gonna let that go for a few minutes. And again, this is something that can be done the night before, day before, 2 days before. It's just very important if you're cooking them ahead of time that you cool them down quickly, and also that you cook the potatoes the whole way through. Potatoes are not something that you can kind of cook halfway and then put them in the fridge. They will turn black in the middle. I've had a couple bad catering experiences with cooks that thought you could do that, and then potatoes came out and we cut them and they're black in the middle. And then everybody scrambles to figure out how to make nice looking potatoes for the big event. So nice and together. You'll see a lot of the butter pushing out. You'll start to smell the Parmesan cheese and things melting. Again, heat control. I'm not letting my heat go above my pan, around my pan. I want that bottom to get nice and crispy. I'm really only going to give these maybe 3-4 more minutes on top of the stove, and then we'll slide them right into the oven. Again, any kind of hard cheese, you know, I've used Parmesan in this. Any kind of herbs, if you want to, you know, you have sage, you have chives, things like that. Any herb will kind of work fine in it. The only thing I would say is I wouldn't do this dish with olive oil. I would do it with butter. If I want to do it with olive oil for health concerns, I'd do like 50-50. So we can see and smell that it's starting to come together and whatnot. You can see how the edges of the potatoes are starting to look translucent. That means they're starting to cook. I'm going to give this a few more minutes, just get that nice golden brownness to it when it's finished. And then we'll pop it in the oven. You see how that's floating around? It means we've got a good integrity to the dish. Everything's kind of holding together, nothing sticking to the bottom. If something was sticking at this point, I wouldn't overly worry about it. I would kind of mess with it more when it came out, because if you start poking at it, all those nice layers that you have shingled together to kind of hold it, they're going to come apart and it's going to be a bigger mess. So you see a little bit of brownness. We're going to go ahead and pop this in the oven for about 25 minutes or so. And I actually put that in the oven on a baking stone so that it would kind of brown up the bottom a little bit more. And this is me not knowing how to use a home range to set a timer. Our timer set for 25 minutes. We're going to go ahead and jump and do a couple other things while that's working.